Okay, I'm going to look through the game and I'll make comments when there's something that draws my attention. Right, so white started at d4. And black is taking on a King's Indian defense setup. This is the first sign that the position might become blocked. The pawn move d5 blocks the center. Right, okay, this move f4 is an important point in the game because we have to understand what happens after f4. After f4, the center has become locked. That means it's very difficult for the pieces to pass through the center, in this case almost impossible. And what it means is that black will be attacking on the king side and white has to attack on the queen side. White's only chance in this game is to attack on the queen side. If he doesn't do that, he's going to slowly lose on the king side. Because all that's going to happen is black is going to build up his forces on the king side, start to push the g-pawn, open up the lines toward the white king and checkmate him. So white absolutely has to launch a counter-attack on this side. A defense on the king side doesn't really work for white here. The reason for that is his space is so cramped that his pieces can't coordinate very well here on the king side, and that's why he needs to go for a counter-attack on the queen side. Right, the move queen e1 shows me that white doesn't really understand that he needs to counter-attack on the queen side, and instead he tries to defend on the king side, which can bring problems. Okay, king f7. Black is making a lot of very slow maneuvers, but there's two reasons why he can actually do it. And the first reason is because the center is locked. And the second reason is because white hasn't started an attack on the queen side yet. So there's no pressure on black. And when there's no pressure on you, then you can afford to build your forces slowly. Okay, still, you can see what white's doing. He's got the wrong idea here. He's trying to defend. And he's not launching a counterattack. Okay, finally he comes with the idea queen to c3, trying to counterattack here on c7, but it's not enough. I think you can just simply defend the pawn, knight e8. Yes, and now's a good time to play g4 because the black pieces is ready to support an attack on the king side. Okay, you shouldn't exchange bishops here because this white square bishop can be quite useful to you. So I think bishop c8 is a good idea, I think. Right, once again he's threatening the c pawn, but it's covered by the knight. However, he is threatening bishop takes knight, which removes the defender of the c7 pawn, but you can always just take back with the king, and then the queen will defend on c7. Okay, taking with the rook is a mistake. Let's just look at that again. Taking with the rook changes the game a bit because now suddenly white gets a bit of counterplay on the queen side, and now the whole nature of the game will change. So instead of playing rook takes, you should have taken with the king here, and then you can, after that, you can still continue attack on the king side. Okay, but now after rook takes and queen takes, bishop block, you don't have much of a choice. And now suddenly things are looking a bit different. I think in this position maybe even white has an advantage now because His king side is relatively well defended and he's making a lot of progress on the queen side. He's been winning some pawns, and if black can't do anything on the king side, then he's going to lose the endgame. Okay, a move like rook to d8 is proof that that black is struggling here. Queen takes a6, yes, and okay, so you have to try pile up on the king side as quickly as possible, because if you do nothing, then white is just going to start winning on the queen side. Rook h8, okay. Right, okay, so I think white possibly forgot that the knight is protecting on h2, and that's why he played knight to e3, threatening to come into f5. Now the problem is, yes, white can take the two rooks. Let's just see what happened as happened here. Rook takes h2, check, king goes there. Okay, white is pretty much forced to play queen takes rook, else you're going to take the knight on h1. So white is forced to do this, and it's not bad, but it's practically very difficult to play this position as white, because you have to coordinate these two rooks well. If you don't coordinate them well, then the black queen can easily get an advantage here. Now, I don't say black has an advantage here. I think this position is pretty equal, but from a practical point of view, I think black has an advantage because it's difficult to coordinate the rooks here, whereas the queen is much easier to coordinate. Okay, I think that's a good idea, hitting the knight to get the queen into e3, because if you can get the queen into e3 like this, very good. I think now things are looking a bit up again for black, and this is very difficult for white to defend accurately. Yes, forking the rook and the knight. So white made a mistake by playing knight c4. Two undefended pieces get forked. Rook c1, queen takes knight. Queen takes another pawn. Yes, and this is proof again how difficult it is for the two rooks to coordinate properly against the queen on the open board. Attacking the rook and the pawn on a3. Getting another pawn indeed. Okay. Okay, taking on b4, right. c6. Okay, now you've got what did you play? Queen b5 check. Okay, it's not a mistake, but you had this very nice tactic here, queen b1 check, which forces the king to break the connection between the two rooks. Okay, right, you played queen b5 check, king there. Okay, in this position it's just very difficult for white to coordinate his pieces. The queen is just too powerful on the open board. Check. Check. Okay, and we have a very nice checkmate, queen d3, nice checkmate. Now, black doesn't really have to worry too much about these two passed pawns, because even if it had to be, you could even probably sacrifice either your knight or your bishop at some point. Maybe over here, or even over here, you could sacrifice one of your pieces for the pawns and you'll probably still have a winning position because the queen is so strong on the open board. This knight at the moment doesn't really count as a piece. And the fact that the white king is so exposed is his downfall. You can at any time just start checking the king. You can probably just, if you wanted, get a draw easily by getting a perpetual check, but black's position is sufficiently good to play for the win here. Okay, so just to summarize, the center in this game was completely blocked, which means that black attacked on the king side and white had to attack on the queen side. Unfortunately, white didn't attack on the queen side, which gave black a nice opportunity to just expand on the king side. But now, when white eventually tried to counter here on the queen side, when he came in with his queen and his bishop, you made a mistake that allowed his queen to come in. And that's the sad part of a mistake often. You make 30 good moves and then 1 or 2 inaccurate moves spoil all the other good moves. Right, but in the end, you still had some pressure on the king side. And you managed to get the queen for the 2 rooks. And it led to a position where the white king was exposed. And I think this is also a good lesson to help people understand how important king safety is. Because if this king was a lot safer, then white's position would have been a lot stronger. But because he's so vulnerable, so exposed to the checks, it gives black too many tactical opportunities. Okay, I think it was a good game. You mentioned rating range of, I think, 1050 or 1100. I actually think the game was on a higher level than that. So well done, and hope you enjoy your next game. Cheers.